What's going on? SEVelocity, episode 9, coming at you this week, talking NBA Finals, some coaching decisions, and Kawhi Leonard, Damian Lillard, some trade rumors, free agency potentially. Obviously, the big topic this week is the Bucks coming back down 2-0, make it 2-2. I predicted that they would take Game 3, which I was correct. However, I predicted they would still be down 3-1. And I believe you predicted that the Suns would sweep.
hmm
And here we are in a completely even series now. Everything is reset going back to Phoenix tonight. Um, so if you want to say anything before we get
Yeah,
into the stuff.
yeah, everyone, like, as I kept saying since the beginning of this postseason, these odd number years, these are my years. Like, once again, I'm just gonna stop making predictions. It's a good thing we didn't bet on this too. Yeah, I bet you if I said the Bucks were gonna win the next two games, they then they would have lost and
Yeah,
gotten swept. But apparently, Khris Middleton likes it when I'm against him.
yeah,
Um,
me too.
Yeah, and I got to say, this is a bit off topic, but I myself, I've criticized like Kawhi many play for load management, but I'm undergoing load management myself. Because I'll be getting my groove back on in the gym, hoping that the Sixers will pick me up so I can be the star guard and shooter that they need as when they replace Ben Simmons. But I'm dealing with Achilles tendonitis at the moment, so I got to rest that. So, so that my draft stock doesn't like diminish too much, then I'm gonna get back in the gym and you guys might see me on the court next year.
That's fair. That's fair. Um, so talking about the Bucks, I guess we'll talk about the Bucks first. Um,
hmm
I think the Suns collapsed, by the way, in a sense, but I also think the Bucks got better.
Oh
So,
yeah, Middleton. He started looking like Batman.
um,
All right. And there was Batman and there was the Dark Knight who was Giannis. Do you like that better?
okay, I guess I could take that. Here's the thing with Khris Middleton. I don't think that he is the leader of that team necessarily. Well,
Hell no.
I think that he might have a sense of leadership from that department, but in terms of being the best player, he is not the best player on that team.
Hell no.
However, he is a good closer when he's hot. But
He
that
is the
isn't,
closer.
yeah. But the thing is, he's not always like that. Like we've always talked about in the last few episodes, is he'll have these random 10-point games, which he had early in the series too, where Giannis is carrying him. So like, hopefully he keeps up the pace of what he did in Game 4. But I'm holding my breath for now. I'm gonna first talk about Giannis because I feel like he deserves the most credit. He did still score 40 in the first 3 games, so I
Yeah.
think that deserves to be talked about more.
I actually want to pitch in real quick, and it's going to be like come to defense of Giannis in a sense, even though I don't think anyone's attacking him, but just this idea of closing. I want people to understand, like, if you look at it throughout NBA history, like guys, Giannis or like bigs generally who are playing off the ball, they're usually not the closers, and it's not because they don't have the skills or like IQ to like hit game-winning shots and stuff. When they're not bringing the ball down, defense is set and they're ready and pressuring them, so it's harder to get them the ball in those situations. That's why you need perimeter players who are handling the ball to like make it happen, because usually they're the ones getting like the one-on-one matchup. While like in the Bucks case, we know guys that are going to help on Giannis in the paint. So it's gonna be they're gonna try and force him outside, and Giannis, we know, not a shooter, but that's why Middleton is a closer on that team. But I just want to point that out there because we've seen it other times NBA history, like with Shaq and Kobe. Not that Shaq wasn't capable. Like if you get the ball to Shaq in the post at the end of a game, you might as well just put it up on the scoreboard without the ball going in. But again, the help defense is on him, so it's harder for him to get the ball. So that's why you typically need a guard to close. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, I completely agree too. In regards to the rebounding, because this is gonna be my favorite thing to talk about.
Coach Ev.
Um, the Bucks out rebounded the Suns 47 to 35 in Game 3, and someone who was getting 5 minutes a game in the first 3 games named Bobby Portis. I said a million times needed to play more minutes because he's a good rebounder and a key piece off the bench. Sure enough, he plays 20 minutes in game three, gets 8 rebounds in those 20 minutes, and has a plus 19 off the bench. I just want to say that that was the second leader in rebounds on the Bucks behind Giannis. So I think that definitely mattered, and I think that his defensive capabilities definitely helped too. Um, and not to mention in game four he played really well too. He doesn't need to shoot well. I don't think he shot particularly. I think he shot like 4 for 11. Um, I don't think he needs to shoot necessarily well. I just think he needs to be able to be in there and rebound the ball because he brings a different set of tools than Brook Lopez brings in terms of rebounding and defense. While Brook Lopez kind of just he's more of your veteran, I would say. I don't know, high IQ center, just knows what's coming, but I don't think he's as good at guarding DeAndre Eaton alone without like instead of Bobby Portis and Giannis together. I think is a really good combo.
Actually, I think we should put this out. Giannis actually been locking DeAndre Ayton up.
Yeah, and he deserves defensive credit too. I know a lot of people were talking about, like, oh, does he deserve, any defensive recognition over these last few months? But he's clearly proving to us that he deserves pretty much all of the credit. And speaking of defense, I want to also give Drew Holiday credit because he has been very good against Devin Booker. No matter how good Devin Booker is, I understand he could put up 40. He put up 40 in game four. But game three, he shot 3 of 14, and Drew Holiday was all over him. And he finished the game with 10 points.
Actually, in addition, we shouldn't even just specify Devin Booker. Whichever one of their per backcourt is killing Chris Paul or Devin Booker, they started. My Budenholzer started switching Holiday on them, and he just humbled them. Like we saw, he took Chris Paul out of the game. Like Devin Booker, like he got his 40 points, but Drew Holiday defense on Chris Paul, it disrupted their ball movement and playmaking so much that they managed to pull a win.
Yeah,
And
and
I was honestly so sad because I'm rooting for CP3. I think he's gonna come back and play better. I'm not gonna predict like 40-point games, but I think maybe high 20 double doubles. I think we'll see more out of him.
I think he'll play better for sure. I want to say though, in regards to like the rotation changes, you can see that they're cutting Brook Lopez's and PJ Tucker's minutes too. I believe PJ Tucker was 35 to 40 minutes. Now he's down to 30 minutes a game, and then Brook Lopez was trimmed down to 20 minutes a game, and that's where Bobby Portis I think got a majority of his minutes, and even Pat Connaughton's been getting a lot of minutes too, but he's been playing really well off the bench. So
Yeah, I think that's evidence that Mike Budenholzer is a fan of SEVelocity. He recognizes Evan's basketball IQ, and he might be interested in taking Evan on as an assistant coach. And who knows, Ev might usurp him and take over that Bucks team.
I think that in the moment you could see that one of their biggest issues is rebounding, and DeAndre Eaton was killing them. I mean, like Giannis could score and put 17 rebounds up, but like he can't do it all alone. So you needed an extra piece to be able to crash the boards, and Bobby Portis is perfect for that. Brook
Mhm.
Lopez isn't that guy. Um, Now, I also wanted to talk about turnovers. So if I'm not mistaken, let me just double check because I don't want to be wrong here. So game three, the Bucks only had 9 turnovers, and the Suns had 14 turnovers, which was really bad. You also had game four, which was 17 turnovers to I believe 5 or 6 turnovers. So
Yeah.
the Suns are getting killed in the turnover department, and it's not even close. So I don't recall. I think game one and two was the other way around, but the amount of you know blocks, steals, or just bad passing that's coming from the Suns in the last 2 games has been pretty clear that there's something wrong, whether it's playing away or there's some sort of chemistry issue, at least the last game or two. But they don't look like their previous 10 games in the playoffs. They look way worse.
I think we need, yeah, I think it is a matter of like each of these respective teams, they're just different when they're playing at home.
Yeah.
And Khris Middleton, he literally showed his big games were on the Bucks court.
Khris Middleton, I don't know what it is. The second he touches the Bucks court, though, he is something else. I mean, all I'm gonna say is fear the deer. Um, I don't know where we go with Game Five. I mean, it's gonna be in Phoenix, so I'm sure a lot of people will pick Phoenix. But at the same
I'm picking
time,
Phoenix.
the Bucks have a ton of momentum, and I think Khris Middleton is one of those guys that carries hot games into the next. So I think he usually does that consecutively, but I'm worried about like game 6 or 7. He's going to put up 10 points and lose.
I mean, didn't he have a pretty good game in game three? I know he
Well,
had 40 points in game four.
I think he was in the 20s in game 3. But like
All right.
I remember when they were facing the Hawks, the final 2 games where Giannis was out, he was killing everybody. He was scoring everything. So I'm
Yeah.
expecting that again, but I know it's a process. Now, do we know in regards to the Olympics, Khris Middleton's not playing, right? I know he's on the
No.
team, but he wasn't in Australia or anything, right?
Yeah, no, he's not playing. I mean, he can't.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's
Yeah.
no way. Um,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about anything else in regards to the games themselves before we talk Game 5?
Um, no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm definitely not making any more predictions. I'm just gonna watch the series play out because I'm just gonna come back on this and be wrong.
I will say in this with the Suns, because I didn't talk about as much as them, they're gonna need to figure out they're gonna need to figure out how to play bigger. And I know that goes without saying, but like I know Frank Kaminsky, um, they gave him 15 minutes, and he's somebody who usually doesn't even get any minutes. That's their biggest guy coming off the bench. Um, I don't think he's very good. Not to roast, but I don't think he's good enough to really hang with Bobby Portis, Giannis, or Brook Lopez. Um, but I also understand the need to not have Jay Crowder playing power forward. So I feel like they have a complete liability in the power forward position because they don't have any true big men that are able to contain Giannis and Brook Lopez or Bobby Portis and Giannis. Just because they have 2 big men that they can keep in at all times. There's 3. They have a good triangle of 3 really good big men that have contribute all different aspects to the game. When it comes to the Suns, though, they only have one center who contributes to most of the aspects in the game, and they have nothing else. Like Jay Crowder, I understand could be a pretty good rebounder, but he's not a true power forward, and it has been a liability in regards to um, scoring, and I would say still a little bit rebounding because he's guarding Giannis, who's got 5 or 6 inches on him. So I don't know where they go from here. They're going to either have to double down on small basketball and just put a bunch of guards out there and try to kill them that way and lose the rebound battle intentionally and just try to score threes, or you're going to have to start playing more physical. And I guess, well, Giannis is making free throws now. He's 13 to 17, so you can't keep sending him to the free throw line either. You're just going to have to you can't foul too many people because Devin Booker's getting into foul trouble too. He did it in game 4. So you got to be careful about being too physical. So I would say probably gear more towards 3-point mid range instead of worrying about down low. And maybe just try to find DeAndre Eaton as much as you can on pick and rolls in the process. It's a long battle.
It's funny. I've actually heard like on some of the networks that people are questioning is part of CP3 bad performance of the night partially due to his age. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because all along he's been playing so well when he came back from injury, but then again, we know he is still like an old player in the league. I think it was just a bad game on him.
I think he's just. I really think he's playing almost every game injured in some form. Like I know he's one of those people that doesn't like to sit out games, so he probably won't mention those injuries, especially since this is his only chance to win an NBA Finals in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's willing to admit to anyone that he has an injury. I know he had a shoulder problem at one point. I don't think he's willing to admit to anyone that he's injured, which might send him to the bench and not play for a game or two. So
Yeah.
I think there's definitely something up. Now, do you have a prediction for Game 5?
No, I told you I'm not making any more predictions.
You gotta make one. You gotta pick.
I'm picking. Well, they're playing Phoenix. I'm going with the home court.
I'm gonna go with the hot team and pick the Bucks. Fear the deer.
If the
Um,
Bucks win Game 5, I feel like they're gonna win the series.
I'm gonna say it goes to Game 7. I think that they're both gonna somehow find ways to win on the opposing team's courts in a complete flip of what the series has been. I don't want to be a reactionist after calling the Suns earlier and say, "Oh, now the Bucks are the hot team." But the Bucks look way better the last two games and have killed in the turnovers and rebounding departments. So it's very hard for me to pick against them. But I'll go with Suns in 7 for now. I really do think the Bucks are better, but I don't want to flip opinions.
I honestly think. I know at first I said that the Suns are a better team than the Bucks overall, but in reality, looking at a bigger picture, I still think they're better, but I don't think the scales are as tipped as much as like some people may think. I think they are actually a fairly even team. Like I feel like the Suns, they have more like talent like spread out in the rotation, but of course, Giannis is the best player in the series. I
Yes.
think the Bucks are a little bit more maybe top heavy, but the starting fives I think are fairly comparable.
I think I think the biggest thing is that the Bucks have more tools. So like you have Cam Johnson and Cameron Payne coming off the bench, which are both guards, which is great. But like the Bucks have, and I think they're both great players. But you have Pat Connaughton and Bobby Portis, which are two different sides of the ball, like that can put in big minutes, whether big men or guards. And the Suns don't have that. The Suns already have a small lineup as it is, and their bench is really small too. So I think that is an issue. I think the Bucks are more multi-tooled, while the Suns have better team chemistry overall.
Yeah, DeAndre Ayton, we need you to wake up too.
Yeah, it's tough because he is alone down there. I don't think
Yeah,
there's any way he gets any help unless they start telling it like unless the Suns start really pushing on like Devin Booker, Chris Paul, and um, Jay Crowder to crash the boards even more instead of just having Crowder and Eaton down there alone. Like Aiton's going to still get 10 plus rebounds, but ideally you want him to get 15 plus in a play in a finals like this.
yeah. I'm not even looking from rebound. I'm talking points. Like, like we need him to. They need him to score like closer to 20 points. I think.
Jay Crowder too, because like in the last series, Jay Crowder was knocking down a lot of threes. He doesn't need to always play inside. He was
Yeah,
shooting 4 for 5 from three in a couple of games. So if he can get a couple of those threes and score 15 and 20, this team would be in way better shape. But right now, it's just a matter of Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Which one's going to play well? Which one's going to play bad? And then the rest of the team's not playing up to their standard.
yeah.
So I'm going to say Bucks win in Phoenix tonight, and that is going to be a great game. And I'm going to say Giannis is going to be the leading scorer again, not Middleton this time, but Middleton's going to score 25 plus.
Cool.
We'll see. We'll see. And Bobby Portis is going to get more minutes as he deserves. So now talking about other topics around the NBA, let's start with Damian Lillard. Um,
Game time. What did I tell you? I told you the coach move would upset him. I know I made all the jokes about the Lakers and stuff, but that was all joking. I mean, we don't know what'll happen, but obviously we don't know what's really gonna happen. But I had a feeling the whole coaching decision was going to upset him. So get him out of there.
hey, so as far as we're concerned, he did not request a trade. That was the rumor. But supposedly he denied it and said he did not request a trade. So that would mean I was correct in saying that he's not leaving Portland, at least yet. Now,
Yeah,
Yusuf Nurkic made a bunch of comments. He kept shooting down news reports on Twitter saying how ridiculous and overblown it is and how not true it is and how he's the real source and people should listen to him. Obviously, after hearing Damian Lillard talk after Nurkic said all of that, it makes more sense. However, Damian Lillard also told the press that he wants the Blazers to have a sense of more urgency, which I completely agree with. You're wasting prime years of Damian Lillard's career, one of the best point guards this planet's ever seen, on a team that is mediocre at best. No disrespect to CJ McCollum, he's a great player. Nurkic is pretty good too, but that team has no depth and they have no other star player outside of Lillard. CJ McCollum right now is a above average starter to me. He is not a star talent as of right now, at least. And I think that a change of scenery obviously can change that too, or if they have another player coming over. But right now, they do not have enough. So I think Damian Lillard basically is what he's saying is please trade for a star, go all in, do something like the Clippers had, trade a bunch of picks, kind of like we mentioned last week. But right now, he's not getting that. It'd be interesting to see if Kawhi Leonard could join that team and work with Damian. I think that would be an interesting combo because I don't think Kawhi is as ball heavy, and so Damian Lillard would kind of be able to run the floor as much as he wants, and Kawhi can use his defensive skills and scoring too in the process. In a little bit more of a lower tone instead of having to be the guy like he was in LA. So,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about anything about Damian Lillard before we talk about Kawhi?
Dame Dollar. I mean, I'm not gonna say. Well, what if he does? I do kind of want him to push for a trade because I know some teams that could use his help. My guys in Miami,
My guys in New
Philly.
York.
Well, New York, they need help from all over. Where else? The Lakers. Well,
Stop it.
whatever. I'm just saying. I honestly think he needs to leave Portland because literally, no matter whatever changes they've made in the past, the teams just essentially stayed the same. They haven't gotten any better. They're fun to watch. Like watching him and CJ McCollum go out there get buckets is really entertaining for fans.
And Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, I'll even add that I like Melo. Like I think Melo found a home right there in Portland. Yeah. I think Melo is just fine right there. They don't need to touch him. But if they want to move up, something has to be done because, as you said, they're wasting him away. Because at this point, whenever I think of the Portland Trailblazers, one in regular season, Damian, one just shooting the lights out, just scoring the ball nonstop, 60-point games, half-court games, nice. Going to the postseason, I'm just sitting there like, yup, we're gonna see some epic moments from them, but they're gonna lose in the first or second round.
We're gonna see a first or second round exit. That's how it is every time watching them. So it's unfortunate because I feel like there's so many.
It's a box office team to watch, but they're just not. They just can't get over the hump.
As far as I'm concerned, Damian Lillard's a top 3 point guard in the NBA, and it's.
I'm putting him right after Steph.
It depends on what we consider Luka Doncic, because I know he kind of plays point guard, but we list him as a shooting guard. So if Luka's in there, forward. Yeah, me too. If we throw Luka in there, then Luka's number 2, probably right behind Steph. But even that debate's really close.
Yeah, because I was gonna say if we think about it, real point guard, and what we're seeing from Luka, all around offensive skill set, I think his is superior to every point guard that's out there right now.
Yeah, but if we're going off technical position, then I'd say 1 Steph, 2 Damian Lillard, and it's really close. So I think there's a few places I'd like to see him go to. An idea, if they do trade him, would be what if they traded him to, let's say, Denver, and Jamal Murray was sent to Portland, and it was Dame and Jokic on the same team.
I mean, that would be great. But at the same time, I like seeing Jamal Murray over there with Jokic. I'm just saying, me personally, I like that duo.
Me too.
I feel like Denver. I feel like they look at Jamal Murray as a valuable young piece. I think he can make an all-star team.
I do too. It's just he's in this weird spot where he either scores 50 or he scores 15. Kind of similar to Middleton in a sense, but he always looks really good doing it.
But in his defense, we know, not in the bubble, but the previous year, he looked like straight garbage in the postseason. But last year in the bubble, he really turned up, and I think we were starting to see him take take like the next step. But then he got injured this
Yeah.
year, so in his defense, we don't know if like last year was going to continue on. So I feel like we need to give him a chance to like see some more.
Hear me out. Kawhi Leonard goes to the Trailblazers, but Damian still gets traded to the Nuggets, and it's Jamal Murray and Kawhi Leonard together, and Dame and Jokic together.
Is CJ still there?
Yes,
I mean, I think that team would actually
be
be
really
pretty
good.
competitive in the season. Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't really know what Portland needs. I think that they're at a point where I think this year you need to decide by at least by the end of this year, you either need to decide if you're rebuilding or you're going all in. Um,
Hmm.
Especially for Damian Lillard's career. Like you either have to get rid of him and take all the draft capital you can get and build with it, or you have to trade all your draft capital and build him a team with a bunch of stars around him. And right now they've just been in this middle hell where it's like nothing's getting done. They're just middle of the ground, so they're getting a terrible draft pick every year because it's in the late 20s and then or low 20s, and then they don't get any better because they don't have enough money to sign any stars or anything. So they're in this awful situation where they're just repetitively getting eliminated in the first two rounds of the playoffs.
Yeah, it's honestly, that reminds me of almost. It reminds me of like OKC, KD and Westbrook. There, like we kept saying, like yeah, the clock is what they're running out of time and stuff. Like they're a young and talented team. Obviously, they've had much more postseason success because they kept going to the conference finals. And everybody hates seeing the Spurs because the Spurs all they do is just ruin everyone's day. But yeah, it's starting to remind me of that. Seeing the same thing happen over and over again.
As awful as it sounds, it's like I think as for the Portland team as a whole, I think this is their peak, unless they change something. Like right where
Yeah,
they've gotten to the last two seasons, that's the best they could possibly be with the team that they have.
yeah,
And I mean, you need to do better. So
yeah.
you need to change something. I think Kawhi Leonard would be an interesting thing to consider if Damian stays too, especially those two together would be an interesting combo. And Nurkic is, if he's healthy, is a pretty good piece to have at center. You just need to worry about a power forward or something like that. Um,
Mhm.
Now let's talk about Kawhi Leonard directly because we know that he's on a option where he could stay with the Clippers or not, or he could opt out. And I know you mentioned it before we started recording, and it's been on my mind too over the last week. I am not fully convinced that he's going to stay in LA.
Yep, and it's funny. I on listening to Undisputed, I've heard Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless. Hey, they agreed for once. Nobody knows. There's no point in even trying to predict it. You're just gonna grow gray hairs, go bald, and eventually die from the stress. Nobody's gonna be able to predict what Kawhi's gonna do. The only person who has any knowledge or suspicions or even a hint at what Kawhi's gonna do is Kawhi himself and the man, the myth, the legend, the super uncle slash agent, Uncle Dennis.
Now, I
I I think we're gonna see another fiasco. I'm predicting another fiasco like with the Spurs. So, but I have a word of advice to the Clippers, with the teammates, coaches, everybody. If you really want to keep Kawhi, do not utter a word of doubt about his injury.
yeah, and I think that if you do trade him, because they could trade the rights to him too,
Hmm.
trade him to the East. You don't want to compete against him the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, even though we know how Kawhi can be like fickle like that, I would still take him on Miami. he's still Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, I mean, I don't always agree with Kawhi Leonard, but I obviously would love him on the Knicks. It would be
Yeah,
life changing. And like
yeah.
no, like I know that I don't think the Knicks necessarily could be. I think they could be a top three seeded team in the East if they had Kawhi Leonard. But it's weird because like Toronto had a lot of offense too when they won, but this team is like with Kawhi Leonard, Julius Randle, Derrick Rose, just like defensively, that would be such a good team because they already held. I think they were number one or number two in points against the entire season, and then you add Kawhi Leonard, so you just need the
Oh,
scoring aspect.
no, no, no. Well, first of all, I do not want to hear another word about Julius Randle. He got exposed. The hell with him.
Don't talk
Derrick
about the
Rose and
GOAT like
Kawhi.
that.
Derrick Rose and Kawhi. Yes.
I think that that would be a fun team. Um, I don't know what's going to happen with Julius Randle because I know there's a chance that he gets traded somewhere too. Depending on what they get, because I know the Knicks are looking aggressively into stars, and that scares me. I want a star player on my team, but they're talking about, oh yeah, we could just ship Kevin Knox, we could ship R.J. Barrett, we could ship Mitchell Robinson, and I
Oh,
would
oh
be
yeah.
sick to my stomach if we lost half
I,
those guys.
I think they were looking at Colin Sexton, right?
Stop it. I hope that's not true.
No, no. I think I saw like a report on that. Not just them. A couple teams were
I
looking at Colin
Well,
Sexton.
because he's another team. He's another player that's in on a terrible team in hell. So like,
Yeah, and that just proof right there. I told, no, I'm not at you, but I told people for years the only thing that was attracting players to Cleveland, or the only thing that was putting
LeBron.
Cleveland on TV or on the radar, was LeBron James. And
And
what do you know? There's nothing without him.
Colin Sexton would be a huge improvement, like because I know they don't want to start Derrick Rose because he needs load management in a sense. That's
Mhm.
not a diss to him. It's just he's getting older.
Yeah, and we know his body will get
Yeah.
injured.
So like if you're able to get him in for like 20, 25 minutes a game, you're gonna see like I won't say MVP basketball, but all-star-esque basketball if you only make him play 20 to 25 minutes. But once you go to like 30, 40 minutes, he doesn't play as good because he gets tired. So like if you can get Colin Sexton, depending on the price, and have Derrick Rose come off the bench, that would be ideal. But like you can't, I'd be okay with giving up Kevin Knox because no one has any clue what he's going to be like after like 5 years of development. If you trade him and you give up, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't want to lose quickly. Basically I don't want to lose quickly. I don't want to lose Mitchell Robinson, and I don't want to lose R.J. Barrett. Those three are the three I don't want to lose. I could lose anybody else on that team and I wouldn't be upset about it. Julius Randle's a weird in between. I don't think he would. I think that would be overvalued because a lot of people still consider him an all-star. I don't think that he would be a part of that trade. I think it would be like a pick and like two other young players for Sexton. So I just hope that it's young players I'm willing to get rid of. I do like Sexton a lot though. It's just intricate. I don't. I want to make sure that the moves we make are actually going to benefit the team instead of regress um, as a whole. So I can't think of anyone. I know that there's rumors that Pascal Siakam might be traded too. I don't think it's necessarily to the Knicks. I did hear like one rumor about to the Knicks, but supposedly the Warriors want Pascal. I don't know who they would give up. There was a rumor it could be James Wiseman, but I seriously doubt it because I think that he's a really good player, and we just
Hmm.
didn't get to see him healthy.
And
Uh,
they've, other than Andrew Bogut, they've never had a center.
right. So maybe we could see your best friend Andrew Wiggins get sent to the Raptors or something like that. Kelly Oubre's
Yeah.
still on that team too.
Actually, what I think was more likely to happen, which I don't want to happen, is the Wiggins end up on Philly because Philly sends the Ben Simmons over there.
I definitely can see that as happening.
Yeah, I can see that's happening too. All I gotta say, who's running the Philly front office? Is it Elton Brand? I
Yes,
don't remember.
yes.
Yeah, Elton Brand. You better get a third team involved on that.
What third team?
Honestly, I don't care as long as as long as we don't have Wiggins over there.
Well, ideally, I think you would want the third team to be Portland if they do decide to rebuild, and then CJ McCollum's a part of the trade. CJ McCollum,
Yes,
Wiggins, and Ben Simmons
yes,
are all in a trade triangle. And
yep.
Simmons would make the most sense in Golden State, and I think CJ McCollum would make the most sense in Philly, and then that would leave um,
Wiggins and on Portland.
yeah, Wiggins in Portland, which
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
bad. I mean, it would be good for him to learn from Carmelo, who will be on the bench if he stays. Um,
I honestly just don't care. Just dump him on Portland because one day I bet you when Damian leaves Portland, we're gonna forget about Portland for a little while.
we're getting mighty close already.
Yeah.
um, it's difficult. I can't think of any places Ben Simmons Ben Simmons should go. Uh,
Only Warrior. He needs to be put with the two greatest shooters we've ever seen.
maybe Popovich because he kind of takes,
No,
he takes,
no.
hey, he takes misfit toys and fixes them. Because
I
DeMar
know, but
DeRozan,
what is this? What is the Spur? He fixed DeRozan.
he didn't fix
DeRozan looks.
DeRozan. He
Yeah,
didn't fix DeRozan.
He looks broken. He looks more
DeBro,
broken now than he was back in Toronto. Honestly, when it comes to Popovich, you know what I feel like? Because if you think about it, Greg Popovich, despite how bad the Spurs have been, he hasn't received any heat or criticism because we know what a legend he is. I don't know this for a fact, but part of me suspects. I feel like he's just not even necessarily all that motivated with the Spurs squad anymore. I feel like he might even be looking at retirement soon.
he just walks into the locker room. I don't even know what to do with you guys anymore.
Yeah. I mean, oh yeah, because they have that. He has Tim Duncan as assistant coach, and they had that female coach there too. I think one night when Popovich wasn't there, she took over like a game and acted as head
Oh,
coach while he
you're
wasn't there. He might be getting her ready to take a head coaching
Becky Hammond,
position.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, she's a good coach. She got a couple interviews too.
y- yeah. I think Popovich is looking to retire soon because I feel like with Tim Duncan, Manu, Tony Parker, three unassuming players that he molded to become as great. I feel like he's like, you know what, my sons are gone.
It's
Now it's time for the grandpa to go too.
it's difficult because like he strikes me as one of those guys that wouldn't mind coaching until he's unable to. So
But I feel like he's competitive. I feel like he knows like the Spurs organization, like the
like
Spurs, they're they're diminished for now.
like he just started coaching the Olympic team this year. So that's
I know, but look at who he's coaching. He's coaching guys like Jason Tatum, Kevin
yeah,
Durant.
it's
Like
a tough
he's enjoying
situation
himself.
because and this is gonna get kind of dark, and this isn't meant as like an awful thing in a sense, but as I'm sure you know, a couple years ago, Popovich lost his wife. So
Yeah,
I know a lot of people who are in scenarios like that, tend to not want to retire because work kind of keeps your head away from that, and he's going to be mostly alone when he's home. So I could see him coaching longer term and kind of keeping his head in basketball because I know that was a big part of his life. So I would see him taking a passion with the Olympic team now, especially. Maybe he only focuses the Olympic basketball would be cool too.
yeah.
But focusing on basketball more than anything.
Who knows? He might even decide to go and coach college.
Yeah. Um, please no, don't do that. He's too good for that.
Hey, but you know those college coaches, their paychecks look nice.
Yeah, Coach K retired too. Go coach for Duke. Oh wait,
Yeah.
yeah, he retired. I was gonna say, I know he stepped down as the Olympic coach too, but he did retire from Duke. I'm trying to think if we had anything else to talk about.
Oh, yeah, big thing. Yeah, I know you know what dropped the other day. Yeah, yesterday.
Say it.
Yeah,
Say it. Just say it.
the greatest movie known to mankind, Space Jam 2. I don't know about you, but I'm thinking because I'm gonna be coming back home to New York, Middletown on what July 23rd. Let's go see it in theaters.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, I'm being so serious right now.
You want to make my eyes bleed.
Yeah, I want to expose the hater that's still in you. Let's do it.
I'm not gonna enjoy that movie. I know I won't.
You see, not even going in with an open mind.
No.
You do realize it's already been getting hate and bad reviews.
That doesn't surprise me. I think that Space Jam, the first one when it came out, it was made fun of. I'm pretty sure, right? It was not
Yeah,
like,
it was ridiculed. Like they're saying pretty much Jordan stepped out of his lane and stuff. But it was just something just fun and funny
and
to watch.
yeah, and then over time, a lot of people ended up liking it. I don't
I
think
think it
this is
just
one of
became.
those scenarios.
I think it just became like almost like a classic or just like iconic thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Jordan was in a movie.
Well, it was cool too. You had a bunch of NBA
Yeah,
players that were in the movie.
yeah.
Now, do you know off the top of your head who's in Space Jam 2?
LeBron and I'm pretty sure AD's in there.
There's more than that though, right? I know there's other players.
Yeah, I think Damien might be.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I mean, I gotta see it eventually, I guess. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um,
Let's
I'll
do
go
it.
with you, I guess.
Yeah. But you guys better be watching your Instagram stream and follow SEVelocity because we might just go live like before and after.
I might not make it through the movie, so we'll see.
You know, it's funny on Undisputed too. Skip and Shannon were going at it. Like Shannon's like, "Come on, Skip, watch it." Skip's like, "Yeah, I'll watch it in an open mind, but I already know it's just gonna be garbage compared to the original."
I don't think it needed a remake. I don't think it needed a second movie.
No,
I
but
re-
let's be real. We know where the ridiculous are coming. Even though it's a movie, it's gonna spark a fuel. It's sparking the whole Jordan versus LeBron
I
debate.
know it just makes it worse.
Even though it shouldn't. I'm
Yeah,
not saying you. I'm not saying you, but I'm just
no,
saying people
I get it.
generally. Like I knew it was gonna get hated on because I think back in high school, that's when word was that there was gonna be another Space Jam with LeBron. I knew for a fact it was gonna
Dude,
get hated on for that reason.
what's gonna happen next in 10 years? Are we gonna have a Space Jam 3 with Luka Doncic, or
Yep. And you know what? I would still support it.
in 25 years we're gonna have a Bronny James one, and
Hell yeah.
we're gonna just keep going on and on? No, there should only be one. I'm sorry.
So, all right. So, you know what would have been cool? Oh man, it's super late now. If instead of like the Looney Tunes itself, imagine if it was like anime characters instead. Like it would have been original.
Yeah, you're right. It definitely would have
Yeah,
been better.
there is an actual anime called Kuroko Basketball too.
Um, See, I don't watch any of the anime stuff. I did watch Invincible. I know that doesn't count, but I enjoyed that at least.
Honestly, LeBron, yeah, that'd be perfect. Put LeBron in Invincible and just show him being, way better and stronger than Omni Man.
Omni Man's Michael Jordan, and then LeBron is Invincible.
Nah.
Well, okay, so outside of that, I guess let's talk about basketball again.
Okay.
Now the Wizards officially announced that their head coach will be Wes Unseld Jr. He is going to replace Scott Brooks, who is, I believe, the assistant coach to Chauncey Billups now in Portland, um, which I thought was a pretty good hire. Obviously, Damian wanted Jason Kidd, and he wants urgency. We already talked about that. But in terms for the Wizards, I do like Unseld a lot. He was an associate coach for the Denver Nuggets for a bit. And as far as I'm concerned, he's well liked around the NBA. I don't know a ton about him at the moment. I haven't seen a lot of him in regards to coaching, but I know he's well regarded and he's supposed to be a brilliant mind in the basketball world. So I have high hopes for them. I just don't know who's going to be on that Wizards team next year. I don't know if they're going to keep Westbrook. We don't know what's going to happen with Bradley Beal because, again, similar to the Portland Trailblazers, are we in rebuild mode or are we, you know, looking to compete? They,
Yeah, honestly, at this point, even though like I like Kalau in his peak years, but I think the man is just done. I don't think like any teams could use him now. And then as for Beal, again, I think we're seeing the best version of Bradley Beal now, being wasted away in Washington,
where do you think Beal would fit really well?
Philly,
Oh yeah, because he's a great shooter. Uh huh.
and can handle the ball and create it himself.
I like that. I mean, I think he fits really well with Dallas too. I think him and Luca playing off each other. Then he doesn't
Mhm.
have to be as ball dominant. He could let Luca do that. Um, I think that would be a really good fit. I can repeat New York for every single star that we talk about. I think he would be a good fit there too because they kind of lack some shooting. Alec Burks is probably their best shooter. Um, so that would be really nice, but he needs to win. So, and I don't know if
Mhm.
the Knicks are that team unless we get more people.
Yeah, Philly's a better option because
I
Beal can close.
I don't like Damian Lillard and Beal together, to be honest with you. I don't think that works that well. Um,
Nope.
So I think you would need to go somewhere with a distributor that would work really well. As much as I hate to say it, I think the Lakers would be a good fit. I think LeBron could distribute to AD and Beal pretty well, and then that would let LeBron kind of lay low and do his own thing and get I won't say rest, but be able to build up to the playoffs so he can kind of show out in the playoffs instead of trying to go all out all season. It'll let him kind of rely on his teammates. Clippers, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but that's acting as if Kawhi and Paul George are still going to be there. We know Paul George is going to be there. I don't know about Kawhi though. Celtics might be an interesting spot with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That might be a spot,
I think
especially
they
after
they
losing Kemba
are.
Walker.
I think they really have. Well, yeah, they lost Kemba Walker, but that team has so many shot creators over there. I
Yeah.
feel like they need more guys to work off the ball.
I mean, if we're going off of teams that could definitely use more shooting, we can go out and say that the Bucks. I mean, you have Drew Holiday at point guard, and then you have Beal at shooting guard, and then you have Middleton small forward, Giannis at power forward, and then Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez at center. That would be the perfect lineup for you.
Yeah.
They complement each other really well. But I
Yeah.
also think that's too much ball hunger in regards to those. I mean, like Middleton isn't necessarily ball hungry. Giannis kind of is, and we know
Mhm.
Beal is too. So I don't think that would work that well.
They put him on Brooklyn.
Stop it. Stop it right now. I I mean, there's a few players that come to mind when we think of they're in hell with no help. So like we got Beal, right? That's number one. Um, Zion is kind of there. I know he has Brandon Ingram and Lonzo, but they're like kind of middle of the pack contributors. Zach
Mhm.
LaVine's another big one that no one talks about, who
Oh,
scores like
oh yeah.
35 a game. No clue where he's gonna go or if he's gonna stay. They have Vucevic, but they need scoring over there. So I'm kind of curious to see. Maybe Damian Lillard would like to go to Chicago and play with Zach LaVine. That'd be interesting.
Yeah, yeah,
Take
and you
basketball
start.
back to the Windy City.
Yeah, and you start Michael Jordan over
You never know.
there.
If we're talking about hello, all right. Well, can you hear me? Okay. Well, so without further ado, that was the last topic we had to talk about today. With okay. Hey, you're here. Your
Uh,
screen completely
yeah,
lagged. Okay, you're
uh,
good.
yeah. The same on my end with you.
I was ready to wrap up because your screen froze. I don't think there's anything else we really have to talk about. Do you want to contribute
Yeah.
anything else?
Yeah, everyone, I promise you, you watch out for IG Live because me and Ev, we are gonna be watching Space Jam. And Ev, he's gonna sit there, he's gonna have an open mind, and he's gonna enjoy it. Yeah, well, watching a movie with his boy and watching Lagoat up there in his first film,
Do they
it's
allow
gonna be
beer in the
a
movie
one hell of
theater?
an experience. Hey, well, people sneak stuff in movie theaters all the time.
Yeah, there's gonna be plenty of popcorn and candy
Right.
on me.
Anyway, be on the lookout. The usual. Like, comment, subscribe, please.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. We don't have anything else to talk about today. I know next week and a week after, we're probably going to talk more about the draft, especially with the draft lottery being like a month ago, and the NBA draft coming up in June, I believe, or not June, sorry, in July. NBA draft coming up uh, later in the summer. We could talk about that. Talk about more free agency, a couple minor role players, and then big moves in regards to stars who might either opt out or be traded, especially on bad teams. So hope you all have a good night. Enjoy tonight's game between Suns and Bucks. He's got the Suns tonight. I got the Bucks. Keep that in mind. The odd number of years, so we know who's going to win tonight. And have a good week.